Shabbat Shalom. It is always wonderful to be joining together to pray on Shabbat. Kine matov, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to live in unity and pray together. Hine matov umanayim shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shavet achim gam yachad. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Having taken a moment to transition into this sacred space, the sacred space from which you pray this evening, now we are prepared to welcome Shabbat into our sacred space. I hope that those of you at home have lit your candles, have dimmed your lights, have pulled the service up on your big screen, have gathered the family, have added whatever special Shabbat clothes you wear for services, whatever it is that you do at home to make sure that this Shabbat is a special day separate from the week. By making this a sacred space, you make room for God to enter, and you make room for Shabbat to enter. Together, we welcome in the Sabbath bride. As we reach the final verse of Lecha Dodi, we will rise and turn towards the entrance, towards whichever doorway you would welcome an honored guest. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekra bela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekra bela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekra bela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekra bela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרא בלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרא בלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תעריצי. אל יריש בן ארצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקרא בלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקרא בלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקרא בלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקרא בלה. Please be seated. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי העליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי העליון. מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך many years ago, long before I became a rabbi. I was sitting with a rabbi in my hometown for Shabbat dinner, and he invited us to go around the table and not introduce, but rather to say where we were sending our Shabbat angels. This was a custom I had not grown up with, and I had never heard of Shabbat angels. I didn't know where to send them. I think I said send them wherever they're needed. I don't know. I made something up on the spot because I had never heard of having a Shabbat angels to send out into the world. And yet there is a teaching that on Shabbat we are assigned angels, messengers, that carry our prayers to where they are needed. These are available to us every day, but in particular on Shabbat, we have special access to the spiritual realms which enable us to send our prayers where they are needed. And that's something I think about every time I say these words of Shalom Aleichem, as we are sending out our prayers, sending out our angels to wherever it is that they are needed. And then, once again, turning our eye inward as we transition toward our service together, as we prepare for our call to prayer, we transition with the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba Ve'alma divrei chirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba mevarach Le'alam ul'al me'al maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'ale v'yithalal Shemei d'Kodesha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbehata v'nehemata damira be'alma v'imru Amen. Yalalai lai lai, 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 yalalai lai lai. We rise now for our call to prayer, the Balchu. If you are able to, please physically rise and turn toward the presence of God. Many of us turn east toward Yerushalayim, the historic connection between our people and God. You may turn towards wherever you feel the presence of God as you rise, either physically if you are able, or if it's difficult to physically rise, rising in your heart as we all direct our hearts toward God. Yalalai lai lai, 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 yalalai lai lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed Le'olam va'ed Yalalai lai lai Yalalai lai lai Yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai, yalalai Yalla lai lai lai. Yalla lai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, בחוכמה פותח שערים ותבונה, משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולר אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד, ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzivaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vared. Please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We read together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments, and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise leads us through the wilderness, that there is no way to get to there from here except by joining hands and marching together. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osef eleh, nora tehilot, osef eleh. I think I've slipped into an unfamiliar Michamocha. How about Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, oseh eleh, nora tehilot, oseh eleh. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam ze'eli anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch le'olam vo'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam vo'ed. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, O guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. Sheshet Yamim, for in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day God, Shavat Vayinafash, ceased from work and was refreshed. We rise as we join together in our prayers, speaking directly to God as we stand in God's presence. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכה חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש בשמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha. תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people, forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We continue now in silent prayer and personal meditation. Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'yimeru Amen. Does a good mitzvah go bad? Mr. Finkelstein was a regular sort of fellow. There was nothing too fancy about him. He had a fine job that paid enough to support his family. There wasn't any fancy position with a complicated sounding title. Most people generally liked him. However, there was one person who didn't seem to care too much for him. That was Mrs. Finkelstein's mother, his mother-in-law. No matter what he did, he never seemed to impress her. At family gatherings, she would criticize him endlessly. She would criticize his job. She would criticize his clothes. She would criticize the way he cut his steak into pieces before he ate it. One day, Mrs. Finkelstein decided that she had had enough of the constant criticism that her poor husband had to endure. She said to him, "Honey, I'll be out of town a few days. I'm going to make a kugel for my mother, and I want you to take it to her. It's her favorite recipe, and maybe if you are the one who brings it to her, she'll start to warm up to you a little bit. I mean, it won't change her attitude overnight or anything, but it may just help things between the two of you a little bit." So she made the kugel and left it in the fridge where Mr. Finkelstein would take it with him in the morning. Well, the next morning was one of those really difficult mornings that the coffee machine got blocked and spilled all over the floor. His daughter forgot that she was supposed to bring snacks to class that day, and his son had taken the shoelaces out of all of his shoes. Well, he was running around so much that, wouldn't you know it, he completely forgot the kugel. Well, he thought to himself, it will get a little bit dried out in the fridge all day, but it'll still be good. I'll take it to my mother-in-law tomorrow. Well, the next day he got the kids to school with no problem, but then he got a flat tire on the way into work. He had to get out and change the spare, but couldn't find the tire iron anywhere. He had to sit out in the hot morning sun with the kugel in the back of the car for an hour, waiting for someone to stop and help him. He finally got to work, but he knew that he would have to stay late to finish up all the work for the day. There was a big deadline coming up after all. Well, by the time he left, he was too tired to think about anything other than getting home and putting the kids to bed. So he drove home without stopping at his mother-in-law's. The next morning was Saturday, and he woke up suddenly remembering the kugel. He had left it in the car. He leaped out of bed and jumped into the car to drive it to her house. The rain was pouring that morning, and the whole way he had his wipers turned all the way up. He got out of the car and grabbed the kugel. The pouring rain soaked right through the tin foil that was covering it, as well as all of his clothes. But he would not be deterred. He rang the doorbell, and after a moment, standing there in the open doorway was his mother-in-law. "I brought you this kugel," he said, and explained the whole story once she invited him in. He hoped that she would see all the effort that he put into bringing this kugel to her, and that she might take pity. Well, she reached out and took the pan of kugel from his hands. She took one look at the shriveled, soggy mess in front of her, walked into the kitchen, and dumped it into the garbage. Unfortunately, this was not going to be the day that Mr. Finkelstein finally impressed his mother-in-law. He went home, shoes soggy from the rain and shoulders slumped in defeat. Maybe he would have another chance on another day to finally make a good impression, but this was just not his day. Well, what can we learn from the story of Mr. Finkelstein? In this week's Torah portion, we have a lot of commandments. Most of them, especially in the later half of this week's portion, are moral laws that are intended to guide us in living holy lives. In fact, this week we have a double Torah portion, Acharei Mot and Kiddoshim. The name Kiddoshim literally means holiness. We are told by God, "You shall be holy, for I, Adonai, am holy." The Torah portion includes things like honoring our parents, engaging in honest business practices, giving to the poor, and loving our neighbors. Yet in the middle of all these moral commandments is the following passage. When you offer a sacrifice of peace offerings to Adonai, you shall offer it so that it may be accepted. It shall be eaten the same day you offer it or the day after, and anything left over until the third day should be burned up with fire. If it is eaten at all on the third day, it is tainted. It will not be accepted. Well, in modern practice, we don't try to please God with sacrifices, but by giving our time and effort to performing holy acts. We call these mitzvahs. The Torah tells us how to do these mitzvahs, but this passage seems to beg the question, can a mitzvah go bad? Sometimes we set out to do something nice for another person. It may be making a phone call or visiting, talking to a parent, or dropping off canned goods at the food bank, or buying a nice gift for someone that we care about. Yes, we set out to do. Sometimes we set out to do these things, but life just seems to get in the way. We end up walking right by the mitzvah in our rush to deal with life. We set out with the best intentions, but one day turns into two or three. One urgent thing after another comes up, and we forget what we set out to do in the first place. There never seems to be enough time in life for the things that matter the most. We sometimes find ourselves so caught up in all of the little urgent things that we neglect to do the things that are big and important. If you're like me, then there's at least one thing that comes to your mind as I'm talking. There's at least one good mitzvah that you've been thinking about doing that you just haven't gotten around to. Well, that's okay. It happens to just about everyone. But this Shabbat is just starting. You have from now until sundown tomorrow to make this a special Shabbat and complete that mitzvah, whatever it is that you've been planning and intending to do for a while now. Shabbat is an excellent day to do something especially for God and to make the world around you just a little bit nicer, kinder, more just, and generous. It is an excellent day to be a little bit more holy. What will you do? Whatever it is, don't wait until tomorrow. Don't let the sun set on another chance to do a mitzvah. It is always good to do a mitzvah, but running to do a good deed is a mitzvah in itself. Don't let the kugel go bad. Don't let the peace offering to Adonai go to waste. Don't let a good mitzvah turn bad. Shabbat Shalom. We take a moment at this time in our service to say a prayer of healing for all of those in our community who are in need of healing. In particular, we pray for Tal Hazon, Jacob Hazon, Mayor Ben Esther, James Dutremaine, Yolanda Easley, Oscar Garcia, Yosef Ben Matilda, Caleb Ben Yaakov Micha, Victoria Fishman, Tzchoni Bat Malka, Alan Fishman, Ilan Ben Tzchoni, Devorah Leah Bat Zipa, Jeff Gabriel, Conchis Espino, Mike Ginsberg, Norma Einhorn, Eliana Batsarav Abraham, Patty Lensman, Neshama Batsarav Abraham, Judy Franklin, Yudashka Elka, and Stuart Klein. In addition to these, we ask for God's healing presence to be with all of those who are in need of God's presence. We ask for God to watch over all of those who are affected by violence and unrest, all those who are affected by plague and disease, all those who are affected by storms and tornadoes, all those whose homes or safety is threatened. We ask for God to be present in the life of all of our first responders. May God watch over them as they watch over us, as well as members of our armed services. May God's protection be with all those who protect us. Please join with me in this Misha Berach prayer for all those in need of God's healing. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. Avinu Shabashamayim Tzur Yisrael v'goalo barech et Medinat Yisrael. Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your presence. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace within the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. Our service concludes now with the Aleinu, beginning at the bottom of page 586, if anyone's following in the book. Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושבי קרוב בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. There are stars up above, so far away that we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. At this time, we remember all of those within our community who have recently been laid to rest, including Juanita Schraber Kaufman, who we are in a period of Shiva, as well as Michelle Bernstein, who we are in a period of Shloshim. We also remember those who have died in the past year, including Antonio Diaz, Leon Wernick, Myrna Levine, Charlene Hertz, Sergey Bernier, Eugenio Colon, Norma Rabinovich, Shendel Bat Avram Bafegi, Rodrigo Diaz, John Brown, Dora Goldberg Friedman, Tipora Bat Avraham, Lionel Getz, Labesh Yehuda Ben Pinchas, Lenora Nodi Pearson Gent, and Dr. Marco Antonio Treu Ruiseco. We also remember on the occasion of their yahrzeit those who have died at this season in years past, including Aaron Stucker, Hannah Golonsky, David Dale, Raymond Berkemeyer, Olga Moshan de Dantus, and Ethel Goldman. If there is someone who you are remembering on this Shabbat, please rise at this time and say their name aloud. According to your own practice, you may rise at this time as we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon uvyom echon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ul'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitchadar v'yitchalev v'yithalal shemei d'kudesha v'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiram ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. And we do, as always, have some announcements. Welcome. Those of you who are joining us in person, it's good to see your faces once again. Those of you who are joining us by Zoom, I will be seeing your faces after the service at the Oneg Social, so please do stick around. Turn on your cameras if you're able. And for those of you who are joining us on YouTube or Facebook, I guess you could take a selfie and send it to me, and I'll see your faces that way. Or you can always join us on the Zoom Oneg following the service. We all have a responsibility under Jewish law to protect one another. With this in mind, if you are planning to attend services in person, please keep the following in mind. Anyone experiencing any symptoms of COVID-19 should continue attending services online. Wearing a mask covering your nose and mouth is required at all times while in the building. Did you notice I pointed to my nose and my mouth? I did that backwards. Doesn't matter the order they're covered as long as they're covered. We are eager to spend time with one another, but social distancing is required at all times. No lingering will be permitted either before or after services in the sanctuary or the foyer. Children must remain with parents at all times. Although Rabbi Farb wishes to spend time with you all on Shabbat, it's not possible at this time. However, I'm happy to give you a card, and we can set up a time to meet in the future. One-on-one, I'm available weekdays and evenings, very flexible with my schedule. I enjoy and look forward to spending time with anybody in the community that I'm able to. Just like all of you, I get lonely. Please replace the prayer books, Talitot, Kipot. There should be no Talitot. It's an evening service. The table outside the door for cleaning. Please follow all posted guidelines and announcements. Upcoming events at Temple Emanuel. Tomorrow morning, as always, we have a Torah study beginning at 9 o'clock. That's on Zoom. Check your email for the link. That is followed by the Saturday morning Torah service. The Saturday morning service begins at 10:30. That's available on Zoom, Facebook Live, YouTube, in person in the sanctuary. All services are followed by an oneg social on Zoom to spend time together as a community. Coming up in this week, WRJ Southwest District presents Cocktails with My Sisters. That's on Sunday, April 25th. That's at 11 a.m. Check your email for details on that, as well as Mazon Social Justice event on Monday, April 26th at 7 p.m. All Faiths United will be hosting an opportunity to learn about the Baha'i and Hindu faiths this coming Wednesday, April 28th at 6 p.m. And we do have simchas that we always want to share. Happy anniversary to Enrique and Andrea Temkin. That was just this Wednesday. I hope that, although I know there was a lot going on Wednesday, I hope that nevertheless it was a happy day for you, a happy day to spend with each other, and I hope that it is a wonderful and happy year of prosperity and growth, of love that, like a seed, continues to grow and flourish over this next year and over all of the years that you celebrate together. Happy birthday to my mom, Linda Farb. Happy birthday, Mom. You're probably not watching this live. I don't know if you'll watch it on the replay. I hope you're out doing something nice with the family up there in Colorado, and I hope it's not too cold for you. Belated Mazel Tov to Mrs. Rachel and Mr. Andrew Rabinovich on their wedding in Memphis on March 19th. Mazel Tov to you, many blessings in your nuptials and your marriage. May it be full of all of the blessings, all of the 7 blessings that we pray for and more. Congratulations to Julie Berger for being awarded the Anti-Defamation League ADL Luzelle Award. This award is presented annually to those who have distinguished themselves through their overall excellence at the ADL. Mazel Tov and best wishes for Sarah Franklin on her acceptance into the Masters in Health Administration program at Columbia University. We wish you nothing but continued success there and in your career. We know that we need great healthcare administrators and professionals in the future. If you know of any other simchas in the community, be sure and get in touch with myself or Maria during the week so that we can acknowledge any new births, new homes, promotions, awards, found a shiny penny. No, we want the good simchas. Give us all of the happy events that are happening in your family so that we can share them with our broader family and wish you all of the best blessings. Our closing song this evening is Adon Olam. Please join with me. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nika v'yacharei יכלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וסוחב לי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום מכה, בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת אישן ויעירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. Shabbat Shalom. I'm happy you could all join us here. We almost made it through the whole service. We are working on the last loose ends of our technology solutions. We have an incredible team of people. We've got Amadeus and Karsten who are here just about every week. Thank you for being here and making everything run smoothly. Everything that works, it's thanks to their hard work. Everything that doesn't work is probably an oversight on my part, but we are gradually working on smoothing all of those rough edges. Of course, also thanks to everyone who has helped make all of these technology solutions possible. You know who you are, Brad and Ito and Annie and everyone who's helped out and pitched in and helped to get it set up, making it possible for us to have services here, services in your home, and to continue having services in your home as long as we need to, as long as we can. Shabbat Shalom. Stick around for the Zoom Oneg, unless you're here in person. I guess you could rush home if you drive safely and log into the Zoom meeting. The link is in your email. If you don't get our emails, let me know. We want you to have them. Shabbat Shalom.